Chris Cester?
Yes.
I want to say your name right because people fuck up my name. I hate when I mess up people's names. So Chris Cester.
Correct.
Mystic Nights. Tonight. I got to look at my camera. Tonight, Triple B. We call it Triple B. Backstage Bar and Grill. But we shorten it up. 6th and Fremont. Tonight is the night. You guys making it to town. We've been playing you on It Hurts When I Pee. This High Up has been the tune. When Paulie first brought me the tune, I heard it. I didn't know anything. He just goes, oh, here's Mystic Nights.
Okay. And you heard it as a new band.
I heard it as completely, I had no idea who it was. And I heard it, and I looked up at him, and I go, it sounds like the dude from Jet. And he goes, it's the dude from Jet. I was like, oh, okay,
the
great.
Other dude from Jet.
Yeah, the other dude from Jet.
Yeah.
A great song, great sound. It does sound like Jet. Which to me is a very Kinks, the Jam kind of sound. What inspires you with this style?
I think, like you said, the Kinks. You know, there are certain things in Jet that we don't like. Obviously, 4 different people see eye to eye on everything. Yeah. And I suppose over the years, like I've sort of naturally drifted more to the harder stuff. I listen to the Stooges as much as I listen to the Beatles, and and now that I don't, I can make all the decisions. Well, at least start off with the decision. There's no warfare in the band. Like we don't have to. We're all on the same page, really. Right. So, but yeah, you're right. Kinks, Stooges, and a lot of stuff like little Sonics and things like that. We had I think it was called 100. Did you remember that? Those garage discs that came out years ago, and there was 4 volumes of garage.
Yes. Yeah.
That's me every day of the week. I love that stuff. Yeah. So the songs are short. They're memorable. Punchy, and and you can you can square up to them. And you don't have to perform. It just feels natural.
Yeah, that's great because This High Up is a great song, and so the show tonight should be amazing. You kind of went there. I was going to ask you, how does it feel to be on your own? The man in charge.
I feel all right. You guys are here. No, no. It's interesting. Good question actually, because I've definitely noticed that it's. Yeah, when it's your thing and you're the the main. I started the band, then you just notice straight away. I kind of have sympathy for my brother for the first time in my life. Actually, that's not true, but because it is a different job and it's more all-encompassing, and it's not. I mean, I just used to do drugs and turn up and play the drums and go home and write songs on our breaks and all that. And this is different. This is something that we're building really naturally, and every single little thing has to fly by your window. So every now and again, I have a bit of a brain fade. That's why the band's here, because you might ask me a question like, "How did we meet?" and I won't remember. Right,
because you were having a good time. You were having a good time at the time. But it is different to be the CEO of something, than to be.
A lot more responsibility and pressure and that sort of thing. But I thrive in that environment. I've always liked it a little bit chaotic. If it's floating along, I get bored.
Do you write songs better in chaos, or do you write songs better in the calm?
I'll tell you when there's no chaos in my life. I don't know.
Okay, so chaos it is.
Yeah.
Because you've written some doozies. Actually, you're part of a song that's in my favorite comedy ever. She's Out of My League.
It is? Is that going to be my girl in that?
Cold Hard Bitch.
Oh, yeah. I wrote... Yeah, of course. I was going to say, because my brother... Are you going to be my girl? My brother's... That's his song. Yeah, Cold Hard Bitch is funny because I don't even really know what it's about. It started off... It was like I was just having used to drive a delivery van, and I was sitting there eating my lunch, and I just saw this woman who's been really aggressive with her son, not to where I had to get out of the car and stop, pull her off or anything, but she was just, and I was just watching her going, oh man, I don't know, you let us swear in this show?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay,
she's
yeah,
cold hard
bitch,
bitch,
imagine, and I put myself in that kid's shoes, and anyway, and then just I don't know how, just. vodka and beer and stuff. It turned out slowly into beer, and then it became and strippers love it. Every time I go to a strip club, I hear Cold Hard, which is not often, but every time I do, there's always Cold Hard Bitch comes on, and I just think it's so funny because it started off as like
A mother-son song.
domestic violence.
Right.
Well, I guess in that way you can kind of draw them together then,
Yeah.
there's a lot of that. No, anyway, no need to get too deep on that. But yeah.
I mean, but how does it, because you guys, I mean, you were a part of an Apple commercial. You were a part of one of the greatest comedies ever. You guys had a really good run. So how does that set you off for Mystic Nights? What did you learn from that great run that's picking you up and taking you off into your new world and your new life and journey?
I at some point, Jet sort of started touring less and less.
Sure.
Because they, we all have families and stuff. And so, but for me, I've always been just like, this is my job and this is what I love. And so it started happening for a minute where I was just writing so many songs that I couldn't, if the guys would be like, Chris, damn it, we've got enough. Stop sending us songs. So I had sort of like a surplus. And that's sort of where it all started. And I was still touring with Jet at the time. And I started this band, and I didn't call him. I texted Noel Gallagher and told him I had a new band. And I said, what should we call it? And he goes straight away, Mystic Nights of Amnesia. So obviously that became the name. And then we just sort of cut it a little bit later because we thought it might be a bit of a mouthful, 4 words.
For us, yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good thinking.
So, yeah, that's how, just sort of naturally, it was an overflow of songs, and just, I just love it. I just love it too much. And I know how that sounds to you and everyone else, but I can't not do it. And if I don't, the band's probably annoyed with me too all the time because we've got all these things we have to do. And instead of doing the new things we have to do, I'll be writing 2 songs instead of doing the structured thing. And that's, I guess, the reason I'm talking about that is because that's maybe answers your question. That's how it happened. Yeah,
do you wake up in the middle of the night with just songs flowing out of you? I mean, is it just
pretty much?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't I don't really get much sleep. Really, 5 or 6 hours. So I don't wake up and write a song, but it doesn't take me long for after you've had something to eat and or you've done something. And then it just starts coming pretty quickly. And the worst thing is when you've got, I mean, I'm not joking, probably over 100 songs. Sometimes it's hard to finish them because I get on a roll. What I do is I get on a roll, and then I'm like, I'm so happy with how it began that I have to begin another one, and then later we'll go back and finish them off. But yeah, it's pretty steady stream.
Does it overwhelm you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Yep. But I also know at the same time, especially now, I wouldn't probably have been able to explain this, when I was 20, but everything costs something, whether it's financially, mostly always it is financially, but, so I realize that it's not everybody writes as much as that. And so I'm really grateful for that. So it is stressful. It is frustrating, but I also know that's part of the deal. So, I just have to try my best to manage it.
What do you do to take a break as much as you can from music? How do you give yourself some downtime?
I only do 2 things, write songs or watch Formula One or listen to podcasts about it. I'm obsessed, and there's a reason for that because it's so technical. To shut my brain down, I have to do something that's way more complicated than writing a song.
Okay.
And then I'm then I'm trying to get that thing out, and then, then the chaos and the emotional stuff stays out of the way. So I do that a lot when it's in season. But I don't do downtime. I go on vacation I haven't gone on one in a long time, but if I ever do, I'll always have a guitar. I can't not. Well, and even then, I'll be in bed just like watching a movie, and I'll hear it like little lick or something, or an idea, and it'll give me an idea for a song. And if I don't have a guitar, then I'll just get my iPhone and make a voice note. And I looked yesterday, I have 1,225 of them. So probably never even listened to all of them in this lifetime. But yeah, so it's. I can't turn it off, really.
Wow, that's
I try my
pretty
best.
cool. F1 though, big
F1.
F1 fan. Who's your driver?
Well,
Who's your team?
Max Verstappen's pretty. I mean, it's an obvious answer because he's so good, but I don't really have a team. I love to see a good race. I don't care if he wins or loses. Really, I'm always impressed when he does. But it's getting real tight this year, so I don't know. I like Oscar Piastri. He's the Australian one, and he's new, and he's got the same crazy eyes. Like you can tell, it's. I don't. Yeah. When they look slightly autistic, that's when you know they're good.
Okay, they got the crazy going.
Well, it's just like they don't blink,
Right.
you know, and so yeah, and there's only, I think out of the 20 drivers, there's only really 3 that can win it. So, but I enjoy the whole show. I like the glamour of it, and like Rolex and like Ferrari and stuff, and just. And then it comes to the sport itself, and it's just, it's all aerodynamics and engines and things like that. And then, so you can see how I could easily stop thinking about music, trying to figure it all out. What does he mean, adjust the back wing by 2 inches? I'm not thinking about cold hard bitch when I'm doing that. So
Right, and fast. So it takes. Have you been to the one here in Las Vegas?
never been to a race. I was going to ask, who is the hookup in town?
Oh my God!
It's the hardest thing to get into in the world.
It really is. Vegas might be a little easier, believe it or not, just because it's new here, and we didn't have the greatest time with it the first year, just because they were trying to get too much money out of everybody. So I think the second year was like a little bit easier to get in because
we were just talking about that in the car because we're driving into town. I was like, I hope we get to see where they race. You know, they had drain covers and stuff exposed, and
Yeah.
But shout out to my buddies have a pretty popular F1 podcast. It's called Red Flags. It's the only like adults only one, so they just go hard in on all the drivers. And all the stuff. And I'm friends with the guy that runs it, so I wrote an intro song for him. You'll probably hear it soon. It's pretty catchy. And
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I love that. I love that stuff. And, other than that, I don't know. I'd say walking the dog, but I don't have a dog.
You love dogs?
I've got a 14-year-old, so that, obviously, that's...
Okay, yeah. You've raised a human being?
Well, who wants to talk about... I mean, everybody who's...
You've raised a human being?
I have.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, she's not fully grown yet.
Okay.
But she's getting there.
What are you good at outside of music? Like, what are you just good at? Are you a good cook? Can you...
Yeah. I am a good cook.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah, I can do, like, I don't know, like maybe 5 or 6 things really well.
Yeah.
And I can figure my way out around other stuff. Cooking, I mean, baking, I can't handle the stress of it because you just got to put it in there and then hope for the best. So that's a little stressful for me. But, I mean, I'm good at some stuff. I'm a drummer, so I have pretty good rhythm. So just leave it there.
What's your dish? You want to impress whoever you're bringing over to cook dinner for them. What are you cooking?
Spag bowl, or I'm pretty good at like the German, like a proper German style schnitzel.
Okay.
Like with the cucumber salad and stuff like that goes with it traditionally. And spag bowl. I'm good at pasta. I can cook almost any pasta.
Because you're a food guy. You grew up around, like, you're kind of a foodie in general, right?
Yeah, I am pretty into it. My brother and I, our father was Italian. He wasn't born there, but his family immigrated over. So, I grew up when going to Sundays at their house. They're all speaking Italian, and that's how that food thing kind of came about. Because I still make my nonna's spag bowl recipe. So that's how that sort of happened. And my dad was in the food business. He was a poulterer, sort of like a butcher, but just for game and birds and stuff.
What city and
by the way, that's how I got my work ethic as well.
Yeah.
That's because, when you say about not being able to turn it off, and I think that has a lot to do with that sort of thing, because my dad had us working there at Christmas time when we were, 10, and like just you had to get the water so hot to get the congealed blood off the trays and stuff. And then he was good. He kind of just pushed me in there and was like, and all these guys, they were like ex-cons and stuff. Like, who wants to cut meat? So it's an interesting mix of people. And anyway, I got to that. I got to the thing where if I've got an idea and I'm in bed, I'm enjoying something, TV or being with somebody, and then, no, got to do it. And then, I will get out of bed and go and record it, because I just feel like you're like an antenna, you have to catch it before it goes out the other ear.
Do you remember the first music you ever heard?
Yeah, probably Dire Straits, I want to say. My dad was, it's funny because people often, when they talk about Chet, they talk about, grew up on their dad's record collection. Dad didn't really have the best taste. He only really had 100 records, and it was whatever was popular. So, I guess that's a good thing, because then I didn't grow up around a bunch of like bullshit music. It was all hits,
right.
Which sort of gives you, it compliments you later in life.
Yeah.
But I remember Dire Straits stands out because anytime I go anywhere, that's what my dad would have on. And now, Dire Straits is not really my thing anymore. But yeah, that's like Dire Straits, Stevie Wonder, the Beatles. They were the stands out, or the Eagles, who, ironically, I didn't like when I was younger, and then later on became one of my favorite bands.
Right.
Funny how that happens, because it's all about what's the word? The way people see you. But then when you get to a certain age, then it's just, I don't care what you think. This is what I like.
Right.
And that's kind of part of this as well, getting to this. And it's good. I'll just say it doesn't feel, no one's sort of trepidatious. No one's second guessing. Nobody's, but what if people think this? I'm like old enough to where I genuinely don't give a fuck now. I mean it. Like, a lot of people say that, but they don't mean it.
Right.
I don't care. And I think that's key if you are passionate about it and you love it and it's what you want to do, you really have to not care. But not just say you not care. You can't, it just doesn't matter. Like, when somebody says they don't like my music, I'll usually make a joke about it too, because I don't care. You can't please everybody. You sell 10 million copies of a record, there's 10 million people that didn't buy it.
Right.
Or went out of their way to avoid it.
What do you do for your mental health when you're on the
Nothing.
road? No, all right.
No,
You like to live in it.
No, I suppose, box, and I keep fit and stuff. Like, I'll run. I went through a pretty bad time a couple of years ago where I didn't do that at all, and that made everything a lot worse in there. So, we're only really just sort of starting out with this. I haven't found out what I hate about these guys yet. So we've got to figure that out first, and then.
Like any relationship,
Right.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, tonight's the night. Triple B, Backstage Bar and Grill. I call it Triple B, and then I stumble over what it really is called. 6th and Fremont, Mystic Nights tonight. What are tickets? Like $15 or something?
I don't know. Are they fit?
They're reasonably priced.
You can afford it. You can afford it.
You can afford it. But I thank you so much, Chris. Next time I'll bring you into the radio station and we'll have some fun with that and bring
All right.
Paulie in, all right?
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you for coming by and
welcome.
get on.
All right.